We go college football payoff podcast. We are back. It is week 10.
Episode 67.
It's Fuji. I'm Dan. And last week, I don't know, not two. I mean, 1 and 2 last week for me. So that's 14 and 15 overall. You had a decent week, right?
2 and 2.
Yeah, so
I mean,
breaking even.
Yeah, I need to climb out of this little deficit we're in, but I should not have added USC to the card last week. That's my bad.
And I felt the same way with Ohio State. I shouldn't have added them, but you know what? Last week was a rough slate too. I didn't really enjoy. Well, I always enjoy watching the games, but I don't know. I didn't feel right with last week. It was kind of a weird one for me. But a lot is going on in college football right now. First of all, it's the college football playoff rankings. I try not to take stock into it until closer to the college
Final week.
Yeah. Like the conference championship,
Yeah.
shit like that. Huge surprise that they put Ohio State at 1. I was expecting Ohio State to be 4. And keep Georgia at 1, Michigan at 2, just the way it's been. But
Resume wise, I feel Ohio State should be number 1. I think the college football playoff knows that Michigan or Georgia should probably be number 1, but after getting accused of all the fuckery that they do, I think they were just like, hey, we have to actually maybe apply logic, even if it's just for 1 week. We'll actually see who these guys have played. And to be honest, Michigan and Georgia don't deserve to be number 1 with that dog shit non-conference schedule. So I'll give me Ohio State with a win over Notre Dame and a win over Penn State.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, what does...
And even last week against Wisconsin, that was a
Wisconsin
win.
At Wisconsin? Or
was at Wisconsin.
Yeah. So 2.5 quality wins.
Yeah.
I mean, name me Michigan or Georgia's best win. Georgia was best win? Kentucky?
Last week against Florida, maybe.
Florida, yeah.
That's probably it, though.
We'll get back to Florida this week.
Yeah, and we'll that's fun. Yeah, and then so we'll talk about Michigan here in a minute too. But another thing with that college football playoff, I always look at like that first ranking or the first few rankings to see how are they going to set this up to where a team can still stay in. If they're ranked in the first week, how can they stay in if they lose? So what is it? It's Ohio State 1, Georgia 2, Florida State or Michigan 3, Florida State 4, right?
Something like that, yeah.
So to me, that tells me that they're still trying to set up 2 conference teams from whatever conference in the college football playoff at the end of the year by giving Ohio State 1. And it's like, all right, you have some leeway if you end up losing to Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
Michigan stays at 3, they jump to 1, you drop to 4, whatever it is. I can't wait until we get to an expanded playoff because I don't think that's right. I think Washington should be up there, but
I'm against this expanded playoff.
Are you?
It makes so many games during the regular season not meaningful. Like, you don't have to have a perfect season with 12 teams. You could lose 2 games and still make the playoffs, which I don't like. And it just makes like if you're supposed to feel like in college football that your season is ruined if you lose to somebody like mid-season.
But then again, if you win a conference championship and you don't get in,
that's bullshit. But that's why the Fuji Bets college football playoff format would have just only expanded to 6 teams. 6 teams would have covered every scenario.
That's fine.
Give the top 2 seeds a bye.
Yep.
Let the 2 through 6 or 3 through 6 play.
Because you'll still have ranking. You'll still have a reason to rank.
You never need more. The college football playoff just looked at it and was like, how can we make the most money? 12 teams. So, which is dumb.
Yeah, really dumb. All right, and
what were your picks last week?
Oh, last week, let me pull that up. I had West Virginia UCF over 58.5. That was easy.
That was good. Yeah,
that was easy. South Carolina Texas, I had over 53.5. I think that ended at 47, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was a loss. That's 1-1. And then Ohio State minus 14.5, and they won by 14. So that teaches me not to. That's a loss.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Shot for a number, but I don't think a 14 was available.
No,
that was the right
stayed
line.
there. Yeah. So 1 and 2 last week. That brings me to 14 and 15 overall in the year.
I was 2 and 2. dumbass for adding USC. There's just no reason I should have added USC. That was just a stupid, stupid pick. Probably my dumbest pick all year. But one of my worst picks of the year was I also last week, and that was Maryland minus 13.5 against Northwestern.
Mm,
Just, man, everything about these two teams that I could read up on or handicap this game just went in the complete opposite
yeah.
direction. Northwestern found offense, and Maryland just played with their food too much and got their ass whooped. So that's almost two touchdown favorites. Should have just stayed with Oregon, who beat the shit out of Utah. That was my biggest bet of the week, so that's nice. Um, and then Notre Dame never dealt with Pitt.
Hmm.
So on the season, I was doing some calculations today. My personal card, I'm still positive on the year,
There you go.
negative on the pod, so we got to get that back. But it's been a tough last like 6 weeks. I've been teetering on like 500 for like 6 weeks now, so we got to get we're in the last third of the season here, going down the home stretch. I'm ready to give some good picks out. I got some well thought out picks this week that um I've already bet. So, and
Good.
I need to get this one bet in before the line changes.
All right, yeah, you do that, and then
Yeah.
I'll go ahead and let you know. Last week, Billy came back on the winning track. He's now 500. He had Louisville -4
Okay, good pick.
against Duke. He also wanted me to tell you, watch your mouth.
Billy, I'll get you kicked off the show. What are you talking about?
you awaken a beast inside of him.
Good.
He's ready to fire it.
I hope he has a pick this week.
He's got a pick this week, but
Okay.
he made sure to watch closely with your games. He was really hoping to have some ammo, but I said we can't have that. We need a positive
We need
positive show.
PVO.
All right.
All right. Let me actually this line's still available, so let's go through anything you learned from last week.
I mean, it was not a lot at Oregon. I like Oregon a lot. USC, I think, is a fraud school now. It's almost like Caleb Williams knows that, man, if he's not gonna play for a national championship, what's the point? I don't know. That's what it looks like to me. I like Wisconsin. I think Wisconsin's a good team. Um, Ohio, playing against Ohio State, Colin McCord still does not impress me at all. But Wisconsin, they fed off the fans. I thought that was a great game. I'm going to talk about them a little bit later, I think. Penn State, that's a scare. And Michigan. I don't know what's going to happen with Michigan, but more and more comes out each week, and it's kind of like we need to figure this out because
I have no problem. I like Michigan more now.
yeah,
Ain't cheating, ain't trying.
you see him cheating on the sideline of CMU.
I don't think that's real. I'm very skeptical. I don't think that's Connor Stallions. And if that is, that's fucking awesome. If it was that you were a decoy, sunglasses on at night, on
Recording sunglasses. They were recording
exactly,
Ray-Ban sunglasses.
which is great.
That's awesome. All right, what about you? What'd you learn?
I learned Oklahoma's a fraud,
Mm-hmm.
and I really need them to miss that Big 12 championship game because I have my Texas to win the Big 12 ticket. I'm really nervous this week with Kansas State though. Playing them.
Okay.
Not putting that out as a pick. But, what else? Oh yeah, I think Oregon's a playoff team.
Yeah.
For sure. Even with the loss to Washington, not even worried about it. I don't think Washington's going to win out. Yeah. Aside from that, everything's kind of on par. Tennessee versus Kentucky was a good game, and then oh yeah, North Carolina, Mac down, just do Mac down. Stretch. And thank God that Miami held on because I've not lost that UVA under yet, under 3.5 win total. And last thing, we are at 806 yards away from Michael Penix Jr. going over a season total passing yards.
Oh, I think that's yeah.
I think he's got 4 games left. I just need him to stay healthy.
Yep, that's exactly it. That's why I was over there. All right, let's get into it then.
All right. Let me go first because this is the last place I can find this line.
Go for it. Hit it.
Try to find this damn game. We are going to bet the Florida game this week. Just straight up. Florida's playing. I'm caught off guard. But yeah, Florida's playing Arkansas.
Mm-hmm.
Quit watch team, a team whose coach is absolutely getting fired by the end of the season. And on top of that, one vital thing about this game is Florida needs to win this game to make it to a bowl. They have coming down the stretch. Um, hold on, trying to pull it up. They have Alabama, they have Missouri, and one more team that is escaping me right now. But at the end of the day, I do like. I was talking shit on Billy Napier earlier this year. Was not happy with how the team has been developed, but Graham Mertz has actually had. I mean, if you look at the statistics on the year, he has had a pretty good season by Graham Mertz standards, especially when you compare him to where he was at Wisconsin. And if you look at the other side of the ball, I mean, we're just dealing with a quit watch team who has no chance of making a bowl game. And okay, yeah. So here, they don't have to play Alabama. Here's who Florida has to play the rest of the year: LSU, Missouri, Florida State. You gotta get.
Yeah.
I mean, Missouri, maybe they could snag it. Missouri's playing pretty well this year. Um, with the Gators sitting at 5-3, needing a sixth win, I think they went all to make a bowl game. I think they went all out in preparation this week. Games at home versus Arkansas, and like I said, Sam Pittman is out the door over there as head coach. KJ Jefferson does not want to play anymore, and Arkansas's lost 6 straight games. They are off a little bit of a bye, but I don't think that really makes a difference. I think that's more of over the bye. They probably gave the kids time off. But man, losing to Mississippi State 7-3 2 weeks ago, losing to BYU in week 3 was probably the true omen for this team and what was going to happen the rest of the year. There's no way they make a bowl with their remaining schedule. So you just have one team who's giving up, who's probably half the team's hitting the portal, and one guy is their head coach is gone, plus their best player doesn't care anymore. Compared to a team that really needs this win for bowl eligibility and to save Billy Napier's job, or at least secure it going into next year, I think it's pretty easy. The only place you can get a -5.5 is Fanatic Sportsbook right now, at least in Ohio. So I would go and bet that right now because that is the last one that's up. Can't find it anywhere else. Florida -5.5.
I'm glad you said that. I'm glad you told me that it was on Fanatics because that was one of my picks for this week as well. Florida, I had a -6, but now that you said it's on Fanatics at -5.5, I am jumping on it right now.
Do you see it? Can you
Let
confirm
me.
that -5.5 for me? I saw it right before I started mumbling here
Yep,
about
minus
Florida.
five and a half.
Okay, good. Lock it in.
Perfect, because that's also one of my plays for this week.
Good. What else
Florida
do you have
might,
to say about that?
you know, Arkansas just struggling all year. They've lost their 5 conference games. They've only won against FCS, Western Carolina, and Kent State. They've allowed 24 or more points 5 of their last 6. Their offense is just managing. Like last week, they were 200 yards total offense, and this is that Mississippi State game. 200 yards total, 2 turnovers, 5 for 17 on third downs, only scored 3 points. To make matters worse, like to amplify how bad of a game that was, they averaged 2.8 yards per rush and 3.1 yards per pass. So that is atrocious. And it's going up against a team who has their home field advantage, like you said, fighting for the bowl, fighting for Napier. Tough loss last week against Georgia, but in this game, they're the better team. They're 4-0 straight up at home this year, and they've covered their last 2 home conference games. Their offense is also averaging 33 points a game. Their last 3, they have more offense right now than Arkansas can keep up with. Another thing here is Florida likes to keep the ball in their hands longer than anyone else. They're averaging 33 minutes a game, meaning that can mean a couple of things, but the main thing is Arkansas's offense, when they get on the field, they're going to feel pressure to make something happen to keep the game close. And with a struggling offense, that could be turnovers, that could be penalties, loss of yardage, all that stuff. So I think this is a slam dunk, Florida mine, and I'm glad I got 5.5 at Fanatics just now. So that's easy. First pick, and we're already on the same page.
That's why you shot for lines right there.
Yeah,
5.5 might come up back here
yeah.
for the end of the week. It might close 6.5 or -7. So
That's why we had it.
A lot better explanation than mine. I was more of a vibe check and waiting for my computer to load.
That's what we need.
Good
All right,
breakdown.
let me go again. I don't know. I doubt you'll have this game, but who knows? You might. We have a service academy game this
No,
week.
I'm staying far away from any Air Force game.
Army Air Force under 32 is what I have right now. Um, you talked about vibe check. This is kind of one of them. Service academy games since 2005 are 44, 10, and 1 going under. Both of these teams are run heavy. That equals bleeding the clock. So not a lot of plays. Air Force, I think they threw the ball like 5 times last week. Army thought they were going to start throwing, but they don't. Big thing is Air Force's defense is a top five defense in the entire country. They allow less than 240 yards per game. That's third in the country. They allow 13 points per game. That's fourth in the country. They're going up against an Army offense that has scored 2 total touchdowns in the last 3 games. So an Army offense that's struggling going up against one of the top 5 defenses in the country. This allows Air Force to be able to score some points. So at 32, you're thinking Air Force can score 4. They can score their 4 touchdowns and get out of there with a 28-0, maybe a 28, 3 game, whatever it is. But I really like the under in this game because of the defense for Air Force and the lack of offense for Army. Struggling the last 3 weeks, it's just not going to get any better for them. I believe this is also a neutral site game. It's Mile High in Denver. If anything, that helps Air Force because they're used to the high altitudes because they're flying planes in the air. No? All right. But
I
yeah.
mean, or they're just in Utah.
So under 32, Army Air Force, that's my second pick.
32-point total with an 18-point spread is crazy.
Yeah. That tells you what you need to know about Army's offense.
I love Air Force's quarterback.
Yeah.
So we'll go there. Okay, my second pick of the day is actually a first half spread.
Ooh, nice.
And it's with the number 4 team, according to the CFP in the country, Florida State Seminoles. I'm going to take them minus 11.5 first half going into Pitt. Another vibe check play. Florida State knows they need to go undefeated. But on their schedule ahead to make it to the playoff, but on their schedule ahead, they have Miami next week, which will be a really, really tough game. And that's why we are stopping with only the first half spread. Pittsburgh, if you guys missed it last week, Narduzzi kind of put his team on blast. I counted at least 4 players who quote tweeted his tweet or quote tweeted his quote on Twitter, talking shit back to Narduzzi. That is just like textbook. I've lost the locker room.
Yeah.
When you're a 2-6 team with your first string quarterback who sucked all year, your backup quarterback who hasn't done shit for you, and how they lost that game 2 weeks ago against Wake Forest was just terrible. Like I said last week, we faded Pitt this week or last week. We are fading them first half this week. I think Florida State goes in, dominates, gets up by 4 touchdowns first half, and calls off the Dogs once they get up over 30 points. And starts preparing for Miami. So I'm going to stay away from the full game, but just because I don't want something to happen to me like how Florida State almost blew it to Boston College earlier this year in the fourth quarter, we're going to stop at the first half. We're going to give Jordan Travis 225 passing yards first half, Keon Coleman 100 yards receiving and a touchdown, and then we're going to call it.
Wow.
So,
that sounds like a little same game parlay action a little bit.
Yeah,
some
we've
prop bets.
We've had quite a few bets concerning Pitt this year, and on the pod we've been pretty dead on with them. So
It's pretty crazy now how social media kind of plays into how we can see what's going on with teams where something as little as a quote tweet or like a like or retweet tells you what you need to know about the team.
oh yeah,
It's insane.
he's lost the locker room. You have
Yeah.
like legit starters on your team like calling the coach out for what he's saying and
Mhm.
like saying that's crazy and stuff on Twitter. I just it's not a team I want to back, but due to the circumstances, I'm only going to fade him first half.
Money. All right. Well, this is my third game. I don't know if it's my last game yet, but my third game on the card is another underplay. I don't know why I'm feeling it this week. Iowa Northwestern. I got this total right now at 30.5. I'm taking the under in that. Iowa, when you think of Iowa, you think of defense, right? They're only allowing 314 yards a game, 14.5 points per game. Um, Defense is phenomenal. Their offense is basically non-existent. They have FBS worst, 232 yards per game. They're scoring less than 20 a game. That's Big Ten football. It's Iowa football. Kirk Ferentz. It's been the same way since 1999. Northwestern is basically the same, just not as good of not as talented of a program as Iowa. Northwestern, their defense it's stepping up lately, um, but their offense is the key in this game. Their offense was 2 of 10 on third down last week against Maryland, so they won that game, which it was gritty, but they should not have won that game at all. So, and also in that game they committed 8 penalties, so their offense struggles. They've scored 13 or fewer points in 2 of their last 3 games. That's against Nebraska and Penn State. Iowa has a better defense, I believe, than both of those teams. I think this is going to be a very tough time for them statistically against the best defensive team. One of the best, actually, they might be the best defensive team in the country. Yeah, I think they are. Um, but if you can't score points against teams that don't stack up as well defensively as the team you're facing this week, it's going to be very hard. Iowa games have gone under 68 times this year. 5 of the last 6 games against Northwestern have gone under, and this is also a neutral site game. It's at Wrigley Field in Chicago. So when I think of these games playing at basically on baseball fields where the crowd isn't right on top of you and it's not that college environment, it turns into an NFL feel of a game. And what better way for NFL feel than Iowa playing in this big stadium, controlling the ball, controlling the clock, defense, running gun. You don't know how the field's gonna hold up for the offense. So I really like the under in this game based on both defenses being pretty stout, but mainly both offenses not being able to do much all season long. And it's not going to change when you go up against defenses that are really good. So under 30.5, Iowa Northwestern. It's going to suck to watch the game, but I'm taking it.
I just can't take it because with the Northwestern after last week, I'm not really worried about them putting up points against the Iowa defense, but I am worried about the wild card of is Iowa like now that they've officially moved on from their OC, is he just gonna say fuck it and start just throwing the ball around and just trying all this creative shit this week?
I don't think so. I mean,
Okay.
it's
That's the only thing that would. I'd still like to bet. I would just maybe go half unit instead of full unit.
everyone wants it to, that's what what everyone wants the narrative to be is they got rid of this guy, so now they're going to start throwing. But it's like, this has been the same since before this millennium. So it's like,
Yeah.
I don't see much changing with the same head coach. Just my opinion, but we'll see. So yeah, that's my third. And while you talk about your third, I'm going to see if I have another one.
Okay. Yeah, my third pick of the week is an SEC matchup, and what has been themed the last couple of weeks and continuing in this week here on the pod for me is fade the teams that are ready to quit and back the teams that are fighting for bowl eligibility. Um, the Kentucky Wildcats are 3.5 point favorites on the road at Mississippi State, and off of 3 straight losses for the Wildcats, I think they have to get this one. After this week, they have Alabama, South Carolina, and Louisville. All 3 very losable games, and they need that 6th win. And what better team to get it against than the second worst team or the third worst team in the SEC, the Mississippi State Bulldogs. This team has not been able to move the ball all year, as long as Will Rogers hasn't played. Their backup quarterback, Mike Wright, is not the answer. This Mississippi State offense has had no juice all year. Even if Will Rogers does come back this week, which they've been pretty tight-lipped about, he had a possibility of coming back last week against Auburn. I mean, the data shows that quarterbacks off of over 3 to 4 week rest or for injury rest do not come back to the same level that they left. So I'm even fine with this number if Rogers plays, and if Rogers is confirmed in, I think this line will maybe go down to -2.5, and I'll double bet it. But Kentucky with Devin Leary, NC State transfer quarterback, he's finally figuring things out. They gave one hell of an effort against Tennessee last week. Only lost by 6 points. We're down by 2 going into the fourth quarter. And I mean, Mike Stoops is a good coach. Coaching matchup is in our favor here against Will Arnett, who is running a ground and pound offense at Mississippi State with the air raid personnel that they've recruited over the last few years. R.I.P. Mike Leach. But yeah, give me Kentucky minus 3.5. I think it's pretty simple. We fade the teams that are on quit watch.
Yeah, that's got to be our kind of focus going into the last few weeks. Well, the last handful of weeks is kind of trying to see who is on the brink of making a bowl and who's basically given up.
And then another thing to look at is those teams that just made bowl eligibility. Watch them take their foot off the gas because there's nothing more you can do with your season. You make a bowl, you're not going to win your conference. You're not going to go to the college football playoff by any means. So watch for those teams that just got that 6th win that gets them into the bowl games to take their foot off the gas next week, and then that's a perfect fade opportunity.
It's interesting.
So just little nugget for the listeners out there.
Yeah, that's interesting. Never really thought of it like that. All right. Well, here's the fourth game I was looking at. I don't know if I really want to. It's Wisconsin minus 9.5 against Indiana. This is basically going off of what I saw last week with Wisconsin against Ohio State. I like the way they played. I like the way their defense played. They kept the game close. The defense looked pretty good. Offense, I mean, that quarterback he came out in the second half and he had a few drives there where it was like kind of scary. We didn't know if we were, I was kind of nervous going into the second half of that game. And then on the other side, you got Indiana, who, listen, this is why I don't want to make it official, is because Indiana is unpredictable. They're all over the place this year. They almost lost to a horrible Akron team, which Akron should have won their game with a late field goal. And then last week, I know the score doesn't really show up, but they almost did beat Penn State. If Penn State's passing game didn't wake up the way it did late, Indiana could have walked away with a victory there. But the reason why I kind of want to lock it in is there's one constant with Indiana, and that's their offense doesn't score enough. But neither does Wisconsin, for that matter. So when you have two offenses, like I said, that don't really score a lot, one thing that you look at is turnovers. Who can force the more turnovers? And that's Wisconsin. Wisconsin last week had, they made Kyle McCord look really scared back there. I think Wisconsin could force a few key turnovers, maybe get some points out of it. Cover that 9.5. I don't know if I want to put it on though. That's a preferred bonus bet. How's that? Not an official lock, but just a preferred.
Just a lean.
Preferred lean.
Preferred lean.
Like first class lean. Like
okay.
Business. No, preferred business class lean, not a first class lean.
Okay, I'll take it. I had a preferred lean, but I'm pulling off of it. I was thinking about firing on Penn State this week.
Yeah.
Oh, they got to look at. I mean, minus 8.5 to Maryland. Maryland's only beat Penn State once.
Yeah.
In like the last 5-6 years, but every time that Penn State has won versus Maryland, they have covered the spread at least by double. So the only thing that pulls me off of it is that Penn State's going to look ahead till Michigan next week.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, any other? Let's go through the games. What's exciting for you to watch this week?
Let's see here. Nebraska, Michigan State. No, thank you. Notre Dame, Clemson. Notre Dame's at -3. Dude, I'll take Notre Dame in that. Notre Dame -3 on the road against Clemson.
I don't know. I would take Notre Dame. It'd be Notre Dame or pass for me there. Friday night game, if you love football. A great Sun Belt matchup. South Alabama versus Troy. It's going to be a hell of a game.
How many wins is South Alabama at right now? Because I had an over on their
4.
win total this year. Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Troy's 6-2, but there's pretty big conference championship implications concerning this game. So
good. UCF Cincinnati on Saturday. UCF's 4.5.
And Kansas State Texas is going to be a hell of a game.
Oh, forgot about that.
I'd put Texas on upset watch.
Oh, and you and Billy are going to be fighting this week because that's Billy's play.
Texas -4.
Texas minus
I
4.
hope he wins because I have the Big 12 Texas ticket. I'm just worried that Kansas State is going to handle business.
He likes minus 4. He likes Texas minus 4. He said last week was easy. He's feeling the high. Here's another easy lock this week. It's Texas at home going against a Kansas State team that has 0 quality wins, and Texas is looking for a strong showing to maybe weasel their way back into some kind of a playoff conversation. So, Billy minus
Hey.
4, Texas minus 4. All right, Billy.
Yeah, I mean,
What else do we got? Is there anything else?
I'm on Billy's side this week. But I would put Texas on upset watch.
James Madison minus 6.5. That sucks for them. They're 8-0 and they can't.
Yes.
They're not in the. But the only way they can play a bowl is if if there's not enough 6-6 teams to become bowl eligible.
It's
That sucks.
the dumbest thing ever.
Oklahoma State,
Georgia Tech, Virginia. Big. I mean, it's going to be a good game.
What
else do we have?
Oklahoma State.
Yeah,
I might.
I don't know. I would spread's a little short, but I'd maybe look Oklahoma State there.
I'm sprinkling some on their money line.
Yeah. There's only 2 results that usually happen in Bedlam, and that's in at Oklahoma in Stillwater, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
That is Bedlam, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're all right. Don't worry about it.
Oklahoma State loses by a lot or loses by a little.
Yeah.
Outside of last year, I think. I think the upset. What else? Iowa Northwestern. You had this is a good game. Houston Baylor. Whoever loses that game might lose their head coach.
Wow. Yeah, that's true. Washington USC. I'm all the way down. Purdue Michigan. That's it too.
I did almost hit a plus 600 win last week. I bet a very small bet on Southern Mississippi to beat Appalachian State.
Yeah.
I had that at plus 600. Almost, I had that down to the wire. Yeah, Washington USC. I guess we'll see. A lot of the sharp people that I listen to throughout the week are saying that USC might upset Washington this week. So I would never. I'll just stay away from it. I'll cheer for my yards that I need left from Michael Penix Jr. But you won't see me putting money on USC for the rest of the year.
LSU Alabama. Alabama's a 3.5 favorite.
The only thing I would bet on that game would be Jaden Daniels for Heisman.
Yep.
Because his stat line's ridiculous.
Oregon State, Colorado. So,
man, even the catch-up game that UCLA Arizona is going to be a hell of a game.
Oh hell yeah!
Kicking off at 10:30.
Oh, that's going to be fun.
So yeah, and then Sweet. I'd watch out. Oh damn, that spread short too. Miami it was only minus 4.5 to NC State. They're going to be looking at Florida State also. So,
all right,
that's all for me.
All right, sweet. Quick recap. Hit them with the socials. We'll get out of here. So I have this week Army Air Force under 32, Iowa Northwestern under 30.5, a preferred bonus class lean for Wisconsin minus 9.5, and then we are together with Florida minus 5.5. You got to jump on that quick.
On Fanatic Sportsbook.
Fanatic Sportsbook. Jump on it fast.
Please sponsor us. Yeah, Fuji Bets Week 10 college football slate for the pod is Florida minus 5.5, Florida State first half minus 11.5, and the University of Kentucky minus 3.5.
And then Billy took Texas minus 4, looking to go positive once again on the air.
Yeah, I mean, if Texas loses this game, there's a chance that Texas and Oklahoma both don't make the Big 12 championship.
That'd be wild.
Which would be the dream scenario. I heard on another podcast earlier this week. I heard would be the dream scenario for the Big 12 commissioner. Instead of having your championship game be with the 2 teams that are leaving, you'd rather have rather have them both not in it and say see you later. Yeah.
All right. That's it. That's all I got. Why don't you give them socials, all that good stuff.
Follow Dan at dposk13. Follow me at FujiBets and follow the pod at CFP_pod.
Right. You can get us wherever you listen to podcasts. That's Spotify, Buzzsprout, YouTube, iTunes, all that. Wherever you can listen to a podcast, we are there. Follow, like, comment, subscribe. Let us know what you think. Let us know your best bets of the week and how you're feeling about the college football playoff coming up. So, all right, that's it. You got anything else, Pat?
I'm good.
Sweet. That's Fuji. I'm Dan. We'll see you next week.